A call this evening for members of the emergency services to be properly trained on how to move people after they have been shot or otherwise hurt, for instance, in a motor vehicle crash. The issue has arisen after we examined the actions of individuals who tried to help a man who had been shot. The man subsequently died. TVJ's Kirk Wright reports.
This video, much of which is too graphic to show, is a man on the ground with a gunshot wound to the head. There is blood all over his clothes and the roadway. A large crowd surrounds him. He is conscious and is able to respond to some weird questions being asked by persons in the crowd. Sometime after, a decision was made to move the man supposedly to the hospital for medical attention. He is dragged onto a tarpaulin by some members of the crowd and taken away in a motor car. The manner in which the injured man was moved is cause for concern. We asked Ryan Rufus, an emergency medical services instructor at the University of the West Indies, Mona, his impression of the video.
My concern was this is becoming the norm in Jamaica, where there is an incident and persons are more concerned about getting it on video and putting it on Facebook than the person that is injured.
Outside of that, we asked, shouldn't the onlookers have tried moving the man to the hospital much more quickly? Mr. Rufus says, without the necessary training, moving the victim could harm more than help.
He was shot in the head. We don't know the force that was generated by that gunshot. We don't know if he was shot and fell and hit his head. So that would have to be cleared up. And if no one can tell us that him get shot, somebody catch him, put him down, then we have to take C-spine precautions. So he should be straight.
Mr. Rufus says in cases like that, the police should be called first, after which they will assess the scene and determine if it's safe enough to call the emergency medical services to the scene. According to him, he is aware that every second could be a matter of life or death for the victim of an accident or gunshot wound. And that's why, he says, all members of the essential services, but more so the police, should be exposed to much more than just CPR training, since they are usually the first from the essential services to be called to a scene.
I think that the police force should have EMRs right across the board. So once you're entering training school, they should incorporate EMR training for all police officers. This would help significantly, right? And it should be the same for the fire service, because the firefighters get called for pretty much everything.
Mr. Rufus is also concerned about the manner in which the police move victims to the hospital. In many instances, no specific care is taken when transporting victims to the hospital. The police, in a bid to help save lives, sometimes hastily move victims to the hospital, oblivious to any additional danger they might cause just by virtue of the manner in which they cart them away.
The role of the police force at that point in time would be to come, secure the scene, and if they are trained, provide certain first aid management for the patient, and EMS would be on standby until the scene is cleared for EMS to respond.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.